Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I'm debating whether or not this is actually something that's really right. I hear a voice in my head essentially saying, let's not revisit Russell Westbrook conversations. But since he's a part of the Clippers, I think it makes sense to kind of look forward and as well as reflect a little bit. So I'll do my best to make it all come together. But my thinking is I'm listening to people talk about the Lakers in regards to their reaction to Russell Westbrook leaving and just ultimately wanting us as a fan base, we wanted a different guard in place. The majority of us anyway. I ain't gonna speak for everybody, but anybody who watched this team for the last 2 years knew that Russell Westbrook wasn't the best fit for the team. Him coming off the bench was an adjustment that he felt was probably not for him, but he did it anyway. He didn't think it really worked, and the results showed us honestly that it didn't. The team was below 500, and he was playing well off the bench, arguably sixth man of the year. But it just was what it was based on how our team was constructed, based on how much he was making and all of that. It was best that he moved on. Now, here's something that I haven't said in this camera, but I think it just kind of goes without saying for those who understand how caps are constructed and teams and all that stuff. But the Clippers are going to have a significantly better Russell Westbrook, not necessarily because of anything other than the fact that he's not going to be eating up $47 million worth of cap space. He's only eating up $1 million worth of cap space. So what they're looking at in regards to Russell Westbrook should not be compared to what it is that the Lakers were looking at in regards to Russell. Now, if you remove $47 million worth of players from today's Clipper roster and replace it with Russell Westbrook, then you understand what the Lakers were actually dealing with going forward, or rather what they were dealing with versus what the Clippers are going to have. So that is one of the most important things that needs to be said. That is one of the most important things that needs to be understood. That's one of the most important things that needs to be assessed going forward in regards to this. Simple. He ain't eating up. Half your team doesn't suck because he's there, simply put. So the Clippers don't have that problem. And if we could have had him at $1 million, we would have loved to keep him. That's another thing that needs to be understood. That's a part of this conversation that doesn't get enough convo because most people are looking at Russell Westbrook's struggles and seeing that as the reason he was traded. That wasn't the only reason he was traded. He was traded because of that $47 million was going to eat so much of our cap. And that's not something the Lakers wanted going forward with the situation we had going on with our team. So moving in that direction as a franchise with Russell Westbrook going forward, the fact that he was expiring made even less sense given the fact that we could get something for him and turn him into a bunch of players so that we wouldn't have that problem that the Clippers now don't have given the fact that he's on $1 million contract. So whether he was playing perfect ball, exemplary locker room guy, I don't know why this won't come off my lip, but it doesn't matter. If he was the best possible Laker, there was a good chance he was still going to get moved. And if D'Angelo Russell was at $47 million expiring, he would have got moved. It's a lot of people who would have got moved at expiring 47 because that's just how you handle that. Kyrie Irving, if he was on our team at 47, we would have been looking to move him. That's not exclusive to Russell Westbrook, and that wasn't exclusive to how Russell was playing at all. So that's something that I don't think is going to be said very much, but needs to be understood. And because of it, I think Laker fans, I think we're getting a bad rap in regards to Russell Westbrook. Did we want him here because of these circumstances? No. Because of how he played and how bad it was? No. Are we confused about whether or not he could give us a better tenure if he was at $1 million? Or if for some reason we had a bunch of shooters around him that fit him a little better than what we had? We would be better. He would be better. And so that needs to be understood by anybody who watches me. I'm of the opinion that Russell Westbrook is not done, that Russell Westbrook is not going to play as poorly as he was a Laker, as a Clipper, that the $47 million had a lot to do with all of it, including how poorly he was playing and how much pressure he felt he needed to take on in order to meet the needs of the team. He represented $47 million worth of money. I think that was on his mind. I think that catered to some of the pressure itself. So I'm looking at all of that and I'm just saying it was ill-advised to bring him in at that price. It was ill-advised to bring him in, period, because of the fit. But then when he got here and played horribly on top of the bad fit, on top of everything else, it made it easy to want to part ways with him. And we didn't trade him at the beginning of the season. We held on to him, and we kept him until the deadline, and we traded him to a place that was immediately able to get rid of him and send him to a place where he can continue his season. Lakers didn't do wrong by Russell Westbrook is essentially what I'm here to say. That's what I'm here to say. Could things have gone differently? Could things have gone better? Could the Lakers have handled certain things better with Russell Westbrook? To my knowledge, it seems that maybe a few things could have been handled a little differently. But to be honest with you, I think the Lakers did a lot for Russell Westbrook. They did a lot in allowing Russell Westbrook to be himself. They did a lot in trying to work with Russell Westbrook in regards to his deficiencies on the court. Guys didn't complain as much as they could have about some of the crap that was going on down there with him. And I thought the Lakers did a good job of not treating Russell Westbrook poorly, which is why I don't necessarily like the connotation that we did. That he was not appreciated here, that he was not welcome here, that we didn't allow him to be himself, that we weren't giving him all the rope in the world to make all the decisions that he could with the ball in his hands. And he did, there were times where he did successful things. We're not going to poo-poo all the good days because he had a lot of good ones. And he was definitely making up a lot of production this season. But let's not poo-poo how bad he looked last year. Albeit in small ball situations with bad teammates, no shooting around him, all of that stuff is true. We did not look good. But to sit here and act like he was just perfect and everybody was just blaming him for all the Lakers' problems and he had no culpability whatsoever, that's not true. That's not true. He was bad, and he was bad to himself. Not just because the team was bad around him, not just because guys were picking on him and pointing out the flaws. No, he was bad. He was going shooting the ball in bad ways, throwing the ball off his foot, fouling people unnecessarily, doing a lot of stuff for a lot of the time last season that would make it so that you would be tired of him and not have a whole lot of patience for him this season. So this year, we were hoping things would change. We brought him back. He was a little better, but we still saw some of the same problems. We still had some of the same roster issues. And it just didn't make for the right situation given the fact that he was eating up so much of the darn cap. So let's stop capping about how bad the Lakers treated Russell Westbrook. Let's stop acting like he's just leaving a place that just didn't want him and that we were just so poorly treating Russell. Oh my God. No, the media used us as a means of treating him poorly. They were applying that pressure. The Laker organization wasn't necessarily applying that pressure. Fans booed the crap that he did when he played poorly. That was a natural reaction to bad, not necessarily people being proactive and treating him poorly. So again, if I poured it on too much in regards to pointing out his flaws, I'm a frustrated fan who ain't getting paid a dime. So I'm happy to look somebody in the eye and say, look, I was frustrated. What can I say? I didn't mean to make it worse. But at the same time, I do want to see success. I do root for success, and that's what the fans are paying for. So I'm always going to be passionate about that, especially since I'm also passionate about players being in the right opportunities and situations. And that is a direct deterrent to that when I see this shape up the way that it did. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to necessarily apologize for having that opinion that he needed to go, because everything pointed to the situation, whether he was exemplary or not, pointed at the fact that he needed to go. And we talked about it ad nauseum and made all the points about why it was good to keep him and let him go. But ultimately, at $47 million, when you have the situation the Lakers have, specifically with LeBron James on his final leg of his contract, year 20, Anthony Davis and his health issues, we could not move forward that way. And we needed to get the shooting, and that was the only way we were going to get it, too. Everybody who says Russell Westbrook needs shooters and he got them now in L.A. with the Clippers, I agree. You know who else has shooters? The Lakers. You know why we have those shooters? Because we got rid of Russell Westbrook to get them. Period. Until we did that, we weren't going to get the shooters. The shooters were not here because he was. It's literally that simple. Now, that's not his fault, but nevertheless, it needed to be fixed. And so everybody has shooters now, and they're where they need to be. He needed to be in the Clipper land, because he didn't want to leave Los Angeles, and he didn't want the expectations necessary to be a $47 million player for the Los Angeles Lakers who win now situation. He didn't want that pressure. He couldn't live up to it, but he can live up to a $700,000 contract with the Clippers when they have championship aspirations with no history of doing so. No path to doing so based on what it is that I see, which is a tough Western Conference for which they are not the best team in. So we can get mad at him going down the hall, but I do believe that had more to do with keeping his family here, middle of the season type of stuff, rather than trying to stick it to the Lakers at the end of the day. But sticking it to the Lakers is something I'm sure he wouldn't be angry at. But I think ultimately he needs to go somewhere where he was wanted, and I agree with that. I think the Clippers do want him. And again, at $700,000, I want him too. So let's make that very clear. The Lakers want him too at $700,000. We couldn't get him at $700,000. Was anybody going to amend his contract so that we could have him at $700,000? Because if we could bring him in on top of what it is we have right now, which is the equivalent of what the Clippers have right now, essentially in terms of the monetary aspects of it. They put him at $700,000 on top of what they already have. So that's what we would be doing if we were going to make it fair. And as to which we'd be souped all the way up and win the championship. That's how I look at that. You add Russell Westbrook to this team, we're just that much better. So all this talk about us not wanting Russell Westbrook, hell no, we didn't want Russell Westbrook. At $47 million expiring with the circumstances we have right now. You give us the contract the Clippers have right now with Russell Westbrook, it's one of the best contracts in all of basketball, if not the best contract in all of basketball. So if they don't win a championship with Russell Westbrook on a $700,000 contract, then there's something wrong with them. And ain't nobody else going to tell you that but me. So that's what I got to say, man. This ain't going to be a long video. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.